And we are starting. So, as you can see, on Wednesday, we said that we wanted to see an SMT that reverses price back into the current weekly range for Thursday and Friday, and our analysis was spot on for that. And the NASDAQ didn't follow the rules a little bit and kind of did its own thing at the end, but if you caught some of this, then you did pretty good. And I'll explain why I did this right here and why the Dow decoupled. And also why I said secure some profits. So we were partially right, not all the way. If you traded the Dow, then that was a very nice run. But the reason I said secure some profits is because I could kind of see this happening beforehand. Now, looking into a 15-minute chart on why price ran liquidity one more time after taking out the previous day high, forming the SMT right here, because I was getting a couple questions on people saying, why didn't it form in the morning session? Because some people shorted this right here and they came back and stopped them out. The reason why is because we wicked above the previous day high just a little bit and then came back down. Whenever you see this on an SMT, that is not high probability, especially whenever it is with an asset like the Dow. A higher probability SMT will be between NASDAQ and ES. Whenever you have an SMT, and in the last one I said that I wanted to see it, the SMT that formed between the S&P and the NASDAQ did not happen. It happened with the Dow. And something still came about with it, but it was lower probability. So whenever you do see something like this where it just wicks a little bit above a high that forms an SMT, you can expect price to run that high one more time before making the real reversal. And in situations like that, that's whenever you can use the revolving true open, which is the true open of Q4. And along with anticipating this, you can see there was no precision swing point right here. So we wicked above that little high, came back down, consolidated, Q4 opened up, ran the high one more time, and then began the run. Above true open, above revolving true open. Now, reviewing non-farm payroll price action, as you can see, the NASDAQ was the strongest out of all the pairs. The S&P was kind of sideways, and the Dow all the way running down. Whenever you see this right here, this is very, very low probability price action. And that is why earlier in this week on the Telegram, I had stated that, especially in non-farm payroll week of December, this kind of price action is normal. And that's exactly why I told you guys to secure, if you did take the trade of returning back into the weekly range that we wanted to see, if you did take that, secure some profits, because this kind of price action is normal during this time of the month and this time of the year. Now, the reason we reversed was because of an SMT. Now, as the NASDAQ, the reason why it was the strongest out of all of them is because it formed the failure swing, while the other two ran stops, and Dow just kind of did its own thing. Now, how could you have anticipated that the NASDAQ make a failure swing and the S&P make the stop run? As you can see, that 6 o'clock candle was a precision swing point. Now, in the TPD videos, you already know this, for those that have watched it. Whichever asset forms the stronger candle is the one that's likely to be the strongest. So the bulkier candle. And some of you already know what I'm talking about, but as you can see, the NASDAQ formed a bullish candle right here for the PSP, while the S&P formed a bearish candle. So in this scenario right here, and this was the candle where I stated take some profits, that was the reason why, is because I saw this candle form as a PSP, and I was like, okay, there might be an SMT that causes price to reverse. So as you can see, and I'll say this one more time, this candle right here was up close, meaning it is the strongest for the upside, while in the S&P this one is down close, meaning it's the weakest for the upside. And whenever we formed an SMT on that low, the reaction off of it, you can see the S&P wasn't as strong as the NASDAQ. And the time it reversed was at non-par payroll, which is important to note. Yes, liquidity. There's a lot of liquidity resting above and below PSPs. So hopefully that was a short little quick review that gave you a little bit of guidance. And now we can move on to more of the Q&A side of things. I'm trying to keep these a little bit shorter. Bitcoin. I haven't even looked at Bitcoin at all. I don't know. I don't trade crypto. I did buy down here though, last year. At 26K under this low, I think we formed an SMT with the futures and the USDT. That's where I got in on Bitcoin. Yes, I'm trying to keep these reviews a little bit shorter because I know you guys have, or do not have that much time to sit and just watch a video. Yeah, Bitcoin, there's not really too much to do on Bitcoin whenever it's trading all the way up here. I mean, could you throw in some money that you don't care about? Sure. But right now, you just want to wait. That's really all you can do. If you didn't get in here or here, the best thing to do is just wait it out. Because bull runs do not last forever. And whenever everybody else comes in, whenever you hear coworkers start talking about Bitcoin, that's when you know it's not the right time to buy. People that don't even have any idea what we do. When is TBD Part 3 in your mentorship coming out? TBD Part 3 is going to be a part of it, and my mentorship starts on January 1st. So what we're doing right now with these price action reviews and calling price beforehand, this is kind of like a prerequisite. So this is literally what I'm going to be doing with the mentorship, but with pre-recorded videos, live streams, and supplementary lectures. So it's going to be 3 times of what we're already doing. What was the SMT today that caused price to move up? It was this one right here. Now this was a non-sequential SMT, which is low probability. It was between the Asia and the New York session. So you can see the S&P took out this low that was at 6 o'clock, while the NASDAQ failed to take this low, and the low was formed at 6 o'clock. And the time that it happened at, the true reversal happened at non-farm payroll. So this one is for your notes. Make sure you write this one down. High probability SMT will always form at news. News events are like kill zones for SMT. Yes, it was non-sequential. Will you be doing live trading? Probably do a live tape reading. If I do live trading, it would be with a demo account just because of the CFTC rules. And also, it's not a signal service. Last time you gave values to the SSMTs, you said the numbers would be greater or equal to form a reversal. Did that happen today? Sort of. So this SMT right here, that was formed between, I'll just, So the reason why this SMT didn't hold like we wanted to see it, it still gave something to do, but it didn't hold that well on the NASDAQ, is because it formed with the Dow. SMT that forms with the Dow tends to not hold as much longevity compared to if it's the NASDAQ and the S&P. So whenever you see an SMT with the Dow, always wait for a little bit more confirmation and take your profits a little bit earlier, because the Dow is the most likely one out of all of them to give kind of false signals. So always make sure that you're a little bit more careful whenever you try to trust the Dow, because as you can see, our analysis played out perfectly on the Dow, but on the other two assets it kind of just did its own thing. What's that time frame indicator? It is 2 degrees. One of his watermark indicators. But yes, you could have considered this, like if you were to say weekly cycle SMT would be equal to 1, and then daily cycle SMT would be 0.5, which this was non-sequential, so it was even worse. But as stated, low probability price action like this can come about whenever you're dealing with this time of the year and this time of the month. I think Day talked about it. Yes, Day has talked about that before. More to do with how you would react to price in live time when things are moving fast like today. NFP. Yes. So yes, in my mentorship, you guys are going to have my thought process on what I think is going to happen frequently. And as you can see, if you've been attending each week, if you've been attending these live streams, we are rarely wrong. Even whenever we are wrong, we're still right. Like this week, we were technically wrong because I wanted to see price continue down here. You still could have taken something, but it didn't deliver as we expected. We were still right, even though we were wrong. If you took profits down here. Scalping model, everything is fractal. So what I'm teaching you, you can go down to a 1 minute or a 15-second chart and do. Was there anything today on FX? FX right now, like Forex, is cooked. I'm not touching Forex for a minute. It just does not look appealing whatsoever. Today on EUG, there was a daily cycle S&P fired at FMG, but it failed. Please explain your thoughts. Low probability price action. And also, it's not going to work every single time. The one-on-one, yes. If any of you that are joining next year have any personal issues that you'd like to discuss, I will be free to try to help you guys out one-on-one. Is there a way to give a score on each SMT? Like, is there a way to measure how strong a trend is so we can figure out how strong of an SMT is, or how strong of an opposing SMT needs to reverse it? There are many things that come into the equation. So SSMT is like level 1. So you have so this is like level 1, just SMT. But then on top of that, you have So now we're getting a little bit more depth into it. So if you have a daily cycle SMT plus a daily cycle PSP, that would equal 2. If you have a weekly cycle SMT, actually I can write this out a little bit better. If you have a daily cycle SMT and a daily PSP, that would be equal to just a weekly cycle SMT with no PSP. If you have a daily cycle SMT with a 90-minute SMT, and we don't have the 90-minute posted up here, but you get the idea. Daily cycle SMT with 90-minute SMT with a daily cycle PSP, that would be like 2.5. And you could expect that to override the weekly SMT and reverse price. Now, as far as longevity goes, the higher the time frame of the SMT, the longer it will move for. Can you get short-term retracements with lower time frame SMTs to retrace into PD arrays? Absolutely. If you follow the true open rules, and depending on the day of the week, along with news, you can call market tops, well, short-term market tops, in order to retrace into a higher time frame PD array. And that's what we did this week. If we look at the NASDAQ, you see this is our daily fair value gap right here. Just keep it over here. This was the daily fair value gap. And what we wanted to see was, and the live unfortunately got corrupted, but those that were there, they know. I said, want to see price go above this high, form an SMT, and then drop back into the range. And that was just using time, so day of the week. What day of the week? Thursday. Which quarter is Thursday? Q4. What is Q4 known for? Reversals. So we formed the SMT, dropped back into the range, and then formed a contradicting SMT that reversed us again inside of a higher time frame PD array. But going back, looking at this, you see we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So PSPs, you can add that into the equation as well. 6-hour PSP and 90-minute PSP. Too much, bro. Too much. Too much. We'll spill everything. Yes, like a 90-minute cycle plus PSP. I mean, it varies on the cycle you trade. If you look at 3 cycles, which I haven't introduced yet, I've only taught about two cycles. But you can use 3 cycles and have the lowest cycle that you use be 1, the middle time frame cycle be 2, and the higher time frame cycle be 3. And if you go lower than that, then that's when you can get into the 0.5. It all bases upon what cycles you look at. Because you could be a quadrennial, you could be like a position trader, and the quadrennial cycle might be 1. But correlated PSPs to the cycle that you trade can also play a factor. Will this work for TPDs count as well? Yes. And we can add one more thing to it. Higher time frame levels. So if you have a monthly SSMT, would be 1. be 3. But if you have a daily SMT with a daily PSP inside of a 4-hour gap, you could see that daily SMT override that monthly SMT. And typically with SMTs, they last about, for the remainder of the quarter and maybe next cycle, until something contradicts it. In high probability price action, you can see monthly SMTs last like 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, so if you're trading the 90-minute cycle, a 5-minute PSP would be 1. If you're trading the daily cycle, a 15-minute PSP would be 2. If you're trading the weekly cycle, an hourly PSP would be 3. The higher the time frame you go, the more important it becomes. So this is why you can see whenever daily SMTs form and they just take out a monthly SMT, you're like, wait, what? Why did this happen? It's because of this. It's weighing probabilities. Would the daily PSP be after daily SMT? Yes. SMT tells you when price is about to reverse. PSPs confirm that price is reversed. But under certain circumstances, you don't need a PSP. Or you don't need an SMT. Once you have your higher time frame narrative established. But if you want the highest degree of probability, wait for the SMT, wait for the PSP, and then bang. Can it take 20 candles to form one? Typically, on high probability scenarios, the PSP will form 1 to 3 candles after the SMT forms. And that's one of those little nuggets right there. For those that are paying attention, that was gold. Can you say that again? It'll be in the recording. In the last live stream, spilled too many beans and they tried to take us out. I'm just kidding. It was probably some weird. That was crazy though. For the rest of that night, my PC literally could not get inside of my PC at all. And then the next day, it worked fine, like nothing happened. Very strange. I've only had this PC for a year or two. It's like $1,500 computer. Anyways. You can still have the PSP first, having a lower time frame SMT confirming the PSP within the candle, yes. And in 2025, I will go more in depth to that on specific times to look for PSPs. Because there are specific times of the day, like similar to how ICT has macros, there are also macros for looking for PSPs to form, and SMT within those PSPs. Which I've kept that to myself for a while. Similar question to the 1 and 3. Can I wait for PSP? If trading using 2 SSMTs, how long should we wait for the lower time frame SMT? I think I discussed this a lot in, what's it called? Whenever we used to do these. But you want to see it at the cycle after, or the same cycle. So if you form, pull up the indicator. Here we go. If you form a higher time frame SMT, you want that second stage to be either right afterward. So you have the SMT like normal. So bam, the SMT, and you want that second stage to be either the quarter right after. So we form the SMT, this is just an example, in Q2 right here, the larger one in Q2 of Q4, and you want that second stage to be between Q2 and Q3. Or it can form at the exact same time, which generally is a little bit better. So does that make sense? For looking for your second stage SMT. I've heard you can use lower time frame TPD to anticipate higher time frame PSP. Can you explain? So whenever you have a higher time, well, whenever you have a PSP, whenever you have a PSP, make it like this. Whenever you have a PSP, say for example, this is the higher time frame. I'll throw this over here, throw this one over here, and then like that. There we go. I'm like Picasso now. Actually, scratch that. We're gonna throw this one right here. On that next candle, so pretend this is the higher time frame. This is higher time frame candle 2, which is the TPD, and then this right here is like a lower time frame of candle 3, what I'm about to draw out. Whichever one, say in this example, it's bullish. So we're trading in discount. Candle 2 is a PSP, and we have a higher time frame SMT with it as well. You can anticipate on that candle 3, if you are bullish for whichever body is stronger to the upside. So as you can see, this one would be up close and this one would be down close. You can anticipate the weaker one to the upside to form that SMT at the low, and the stronger one to form that failure swing. So the weaker one will make the turtle soup, and then the stronger one will make the failure swing before continuation higher. And this is how you can see SMT before it even happens. And as long as you follow the time frame alignment, because I set up the TPD videos in a way to where they would be in perfect tune with quarterly theory. So as long as you follow the time frame alignment, this is why the 6 hour time frame or the 90-minute time frame, any of those wacky time frames, this is why it's not in there, because it doesn't follow along with the quarters. Those time frames follow along with the cycles, which applies to doubling. So whenever candle 2 forms a TPD on the lower time frame, soon as you see that SMT, and then you have that second stage anywhere in here with another lower time frame PSP or TPD, at that point you're just looking for any bullish PD array to support your narrative, targeting the high of candle 2 or the high of candle 1. Wait, are the lower time frame illustrations supposed to be what happens within the higher time frame PSP or after the higher time? After. So pretend this is just pretend that this is candle number 3 right here, and this would be the equivalent of the lower time frame price action within candle 3. So as you see, we have the open, and then the low, and then the high. The open, low, and then high. Crazy sauce was right in front of so many of you the whole time. And this is only like 20% of the equation. I mean, with this you can make so much money with this, because this literally tells you when SMT works, when to look for the second stage. This tells you when CRT works. So when people ask, when does candle range theory work? I don't subscribe to candle range theory unless this is there. This is the real candle range theory. And credit goes today for PSPs, but the way that I put it all together is different from what Day teaches. But Day is the one that discovered PSPs. But everything I'm teaching you here is from my own discovery. Can a precision candle be given similar value to a PSP? No. Precision candles are likely to form during lower probability price action, and you can tell whenever something is like, for example, if we look back at the good old futures triad, our favorite triad, we can see this is a precision candle. Why is this a precision candle and not a precision swing point? You see how bulky this candle is? Focusing more on this one, not this one, but this one. This is a very bulky candle. The candles, the bodies, tell the story. The wicks do the damage. So looking at this, even though the uninformed people, they would see this as a PSP and be like, okay, short, and then they're gonna get wrecked. Because what this is telling me is that we're not done yet. Next week during CPI, we could probably spot the real reversal there. But for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we aren't done up here yet. We could probably trade a little bit up, a little bit more, and then drop. If an SMT forms during CPI. Now, best case scenario is we trade above this high, form a monthly SMT, consolidate a little bit, run the high one more time, and then boom. So that's the difference between precision candles and precision swing points. Precision swing points, if it were to be a precision swing point right here, it would look like this. Let's see, the open was right here. Oh, it won't let me. This is what a precision swing point would look like. The reason why this isn't a precision swing point is because of the bulk of the body. We can see with this large expansive candle that price isn't done yet. PSPs tell you when price is about to turn. This candle, all this is telling me is I ain't done. I'm not done yet. I got a little bit more damage to do and then I might be done. So wicks do the damage, bodies tell the story. The open and the close is the most important. Yes, we will probably wrap this up here shortly. So hopefully that made sense for everybody. Hopefully we're all on the same page. Where do PSPs usually form on a continuation? Plays a part with premium and discount. I can show you an example. Here. When are PSPs used for continuation? I wasn't even planning on sharing this yet. But as you can see here, this is a precision candle. We'll talk about it with precision candles. I don't want to spill too much yet. But as you can see, this is a precision candle right here. Now, looking at the range we have. Looking at the range. What in the world? There we go. We'll do it from here. This is our current range for this example. As you can see, the Dow has already moved. Here we have precision candle. In the NASDAQ, it's in premium. In the Dow, it's in discount. You wouldn't expect, if you have the higher time frame governing it, you wouldn't expect this to reverse price. You would expect this to offer a retracement for a continuation. So it plays a part of premium and discount. So whenever you have one PSP in premium and one in discount, the one that's, if you're bearish, if you have a higher time frame bearish SMT, and then a lower time frame PSP forms, and that lower time frame PSP, one of them is in premium, one of them is in discount. The one that's in discount will offer a short-term retracement before heading lower. Does that make sense? Question about the mentorship. How will the structure of teaching be organized and like the continuation model? Yes. So the way it'll be organized is there will probably be 2 live streams a week. So we will have a live stream, and then the day after the live stream, well, not really the day after, we'll have a live stream, and then we'll wait for price action to do its thing, and then we'll have a pre-recorded lecture explaining how I got to that conclusion, what I was looking at, and pretty much pointing out the important things, and we'll do that twice a week. And then we will also have supplementary lectures on other things that are also needed in order to become profitable. Psychology lessons, risk management lessons, actual concepts itself, the whole shebang. So yes, you will definitely be getting a lot. And you also have access to me directly one-on-one. Yes, day does make us do a lot of guessing games. But it's good though. It's good. Yes, so the way I have mine structured is to where that doesn't happen. Mine will be a little bit easier for everybody to be on the same page. Can you talk about how you anchored the range? I just use a general low before the SMT. I mean, you could have went with this one like this, but it would have been way below. Or you could have used the entire previous for like a real scenario, because that was cherry picked. Will not lie, that was cherry picked. For a real scenario, you could use, if you're looking for a weekly SMT, that previous day, the range of the previous day. So let me. There we go. So since we're looking at a weekly SMT, you'd use that daily candle, could use that as your range. As you can see, we were still in discount. Still in discount here, and then still in premium up here. Really like the way you do examples and go in depth. They already read that one. I think it's important to know when things don't work rather than they do work. Yes. Knowing when something works versus doesn't work, or knowing when to do nothing, is extremely important. Very, very, very important. Because you could have a 95% win rate, but if you continuously go in there over and over and over again, you're eventually going to have a loss. And if you don't manage your risk, then months of progress could be lost. I think he doesn't want his life's works out there that easy. Obviously knows some of the things. Yeah, so the way I teach you guys is I've done rigorous, and that's what you guys pretty much are paying for. Whenever you join me, you're paying for my experience. And what we've done so far, like I already said, is a prerequisite. We have yet to be wrong. Since the beginning of November, every week we come on here, we call price, see what it does. More times than not, it does it. But I'm hoping soon, before the end of the year, to be wrong, because you guys need to see when I do it wrong. That is important. Use any standard deviations to predict what price level SMT will format? Is planning on teaching that in 2025. But yeah, standard deviations, and not the defining range. I don't entirely believe in the defining range. It works under certain circumstances, but it doesn't happen very frequently. Under certain criteria, it works well, but rarely ever does that criteria ever form. But yes, standard deviations can be used with quarterly theory. Is it TPD and PSP the same thing? TPD is PSP and SMT put all into one. It's pretty much the basis of quarterly theory into one. But it is derived of quarterly theory concepts. What is the strongest signal that tells you not to trade? That can be difficult sometimes, and is every red? No, every red news folder is not a trading opportunity. Consumer confidence, an amazing example. Consumer confidence is a 10 a.m. red news driver. I avoid consumer confidence news days. Reason being is every single time that news event comes up, that thing is like, it's worse than like a Powell speaking day. that news event causes price to turn upside down and just consolidate. And also those very, very, very high impact news drivers, I typically only look at them on the higher time frame, and then the day after you can look to do something. And like I said, that'll be discussed in my 2025 group on the rankings of news folders and which ones are high probability, which ones you can day trade, which ones you can swing trade, the whole. But the strongest signal is number 1, news, number 2, time of day, number 3, day of week. What are your thoughts on 60 to 80 bar shift? I don't think that's necessary if you're trading in the futures triad. If you're looking at index futures, it's not necessary. These markets are literally designed to be perma-bullish. Can quarterly shifts happen? Yes, but more times than not, it'll just rebound a couple weeks later. Can you briefly explain? Didn't join the beginning, maybe I missed the 10 a.m. candle yesterday. It's a PSP. Let's look. So yes, so the reason why this one didn't work, it's like I said, this one was a precision. No, this one. It was this one. Thursday. Let's look at S&P. The 10 a.m. candle here is not a PSP. Today. So you're asking why it didn't reverse into the wick and why it was kind of random price action? It was yesterday. Oh, good. Why PSP on NQ didn't retrace. 10 a.m. 1 hour candle. So you're asking why did NQ just expand higher and it didn't go down like the S&P did? So that was discussed earlier on, but I can go over it again. And the trick is the base of the move. So looking here, the reason why non-farm payroll did what it did is at non-farm payroll, we had an SMT. And the SMT already formed beforehand. So you could have seen it coming. And you never want to trade before non-farm payroll. Trust me. But yes. So as you can see, the NASDAQ made the failure swing. The S&P made the turtle soup. So the NASDAQ in this scenario was stronger. Didn't take out this low. Made the failure swing, so it was stronger. So it was more likely to allow upside movement, while the S&P lacked a little bit behind. And how you could have seen the SMT before it even formed was this precision swing point right here. This tipped its hand at you saying that the NASDAQ was the most likely one to form the failure swing, while the S&P was the most likely to form a turtle soup. As you can see on the NASDAQ, this one is up closed, this one is down closed. So the NASDAQ is the stronger one for upside, the weaker one for upside. And that's why the S&P took out the low, being weaker. So even right here, you could already tell. Yes. And yes, and that is why I told everybody, if you did short up here, which we were anticipating a short up here, if you did, take profits. Like the main read, yes. That does play a little bit of a part, is because of that daily FEG, but there wasn't a sequential SMT inside of there, so we wouldn't really pay too close attention to it. Which is the better order, PSP SMT or SMT PSP? Both. PSPs tell you when SMT is about to happen. SMT also confirms PSPs. And that's what that entire TBD video series was. But yes, we're going to go ahead and call it a night here. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the live. I will speak with you all again probably next Wednesday. Someone direct me to the TBD series. Just DM my assistant on Telegram and we'll get them forwarded over to you. Or you know what? I might as well. I could just post them in the Telegram. I might just do that. Will this be uploaded soon as it gets done processing? Of course. So I hope you guys have a wonderful night, wonderful day, wonderful evening, wonderful morning, wherever you are. And I will speak with you all again next Wednesday.